Hare Krishna. Question: the in the traditional Indian culture, people would naturally glorify one's own guru. But in ISKCON, now we have the policy that we should not glorify our guru. We should glorify only Prabhupada. Doesn't this such institutionalization cause cause the suppression of the natural devotion, and thereby the suppression of the natural devotional culture that was there in India? Answer: first of all, it is not necessary that one's devotion to one's guru has to be expressed by constant glorification of one's guru directly. In fact, uh, the Goswamis say that, even Bhaktivinoda Thakur also quotes this. He says that among the things that we should keep secret, he says one should keep one's mala secret. He said, keep the mala in a bead bag, don't show the mala to the world. So go payet, keep them secret. And one of the things he says is keep your guru secret. So the point here is that we see Srila Prabhupada also, he when he would preach, he would of course express his debt of gratitude to his spiritual master. But if we look at his own life and the way he taught, the essence of his message was teaching philosophy. By essence, I mean the stress. It was not that he was constantly reading pastimes of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He knew that was not what his audience could relate with. So yes, for the devotees who came close to him, at that time he did tell some defining anecdotes, pastimes of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But still, the important point was, if you look at the crux of Srila Prabhupada's teachings, they are centered in philosophy. And from his presentation, what we understand is that it is, as devotees, we should do that which helps people come close to Krishna. So at one level we may say that it was the Vedic tradition to glorify one's spiritual master, but there are exceptions to that also. There are, in fact, contrary enjoining saying that one should keep one's spiritual master gopayet. So the point of this is anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. Whatever is favorable for our bhakti, we accept that, and whatever is unfavorable for our bhakti, we put that aside. So when we are living in a community of devotees, at that time, where especially when we are living within the Krishna consciousness movement, so there are devotees who are disciples of different spiritual masters, and in the Bhagavatam, in the third canto as well as in the 11th canto, Uddhav Gita as well as in Kapila's teachings, it is mentioned how bhakti can be practiced within the modes of ignorance, passion, goodness, and ultimately in transcendence also. So bhakti is itself transcendental, but the practitioners of bhakti, if they are predominantly in the lower modes, then they will practice bhakti accordingly. And we in the Krishna consciousness movements have come from a wide variety of backgrounds, and and we will see that often there are much stronger conflicts between the disciples of gurus than the gurus themselves. When two spiritual masters meet, usually they are cordial and they deal with each other in a dignified Vaishnava way, but often their disciples have very bitter conflicts. That is why, because yes, there may be some issues, some differences between two Vaishnavas, but those Vaishnavas also know how to deal with those differences in a Vaishnava way, and that is the characteristic of Sattvic Bhakti and Transcendental Bhakti. But when we ourselves are in Rajoguna or Tamoguna, then we take those differences and we tackle those differences in a Rajasic or Tamasic way, where we create conflicts. So just as we may not be able to deal with differences properly because we ourselves are not in the higher modes, and certainly we are not transcendental. Similarly, the principle of one's guru, the principle of glorifying one's guru, we may apply it in an appropriate way that alienates others. In the Ramayana, when Ram is about to go to the forest, initially his plan is that he's going to go alone, and then he instructs Sita about how she should conduct herself while she is living in the palace, as Bharat is the king. And one central message which Ram gives to Sita in that context is that when Bharat is the ruling king, don't glorify me in Bharat's presence. He says that men in general and kings in particular are known to be concerned about their ego and their prestige. And therefore, in the presence of a king, if you glorify some other man, then that may lead to unfortunate results. Now, if we look at the character of Bharat, Bharat was devoted to Ram, and he would be have delighted if Ram's glories were spoken. So Ram, when he's speaking this, he's speaking about a general principle that it's a basic human courtesy, sensitivity, that one should speak in a pleasing way to others. So that's why the point which I am making is sometimes, so even Lord Ram is telling Sita that be sensitive and don't glorify me in Bharat's presence. So similarly, this principle of sensitivity is there in the broad bhakti culture itself and bhakti literature itself. So if we are in a circle where there are devotees of other spiritual masters also, or especially the GBC resolution based on the ISKCON Disciples course, based on which the ISKCON Disciples course has been formed, where the focus is on Srila Prabhupada. There the point is that there are devotees who have not even come to know any of the ISKCON spiritual masters, and they have not even understood the basic philosophy. So at that time, we have to focus on what is the best thing that will attract them to Krishna. So there are two different situations here. First is, if you look at Prabhupada's example, Prabhupada focused on presenting the philosophy in such a way that people would be attracted to the philosophy, to the wisdom. And then, of course, people were attracted to him also, and they want to take instruction from him. But the center of his message was not, I am this, I am that. The center of the message that he was giving was that we are souls, we are parts of Krishna, and only by learning to love him will we be happy. So, similarly, we should focus on presenting the message of Krishna consciousness in the best possible way. And if we at an initial stage, before new people, we start glorifying our spiritual master, then one thing is, new people themselves may go away because they may start thinking that this is just a personality cult. Especially nowadays, with movies talking about how fake godmen mislead people and live in luxury and have bootlicking disciples. So there is a lot of negative image of godmen, and in such a situation, if we start glorifying our spiritual master, people may just feel that we are another personality cult centered movement. So we have to be cautious about that. We may alienate new people by not presenting what would have attracted them to Krishna. So even what would have attracted them to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And even when we have what to speak of, not glorifying our spiritual master, even when we are speaking, we should focus on Prabhupada's message in terms of the universal principles of bhakti. If we start focusing on how Prabhupada is the greatest spiritual master and there's no everyone else is this and that, and if we again go on to the personality, if people's head is not convinced, their heart will not be steadily attracted, and the heart is not attracted, then glorification may be more alienating than appealing. So we may alienate new people. That's one possibility. And also, if we are in a community of devotees where there are different devotees of different who are disciples of different spiritual masters, then glorifying one's own spiritual master may well be alienating. As the example from Ramayana, where Lord Ram is telling Sita, don't glorify me in front of Bharat. So, we may alienate people by the same principle. So, yes, because there is a way to glorify which is centered on Krishna and the mercy and potency that Krishna is manifesting through his devotees, through his exalted devotees, who may be our spiritual masters. But there is another way of glorifying, where glorification of those with whom we are connected is simply a tool, is simply and subtly often a tool for glorifying oneself. My spiritual master is so great becomes a tool for saying I am so great. So the glorification of our spiritual master becomes a tool for one-upsmanship. Just like people say, Mera Bharat Mahan. Yes, there are glorious things about India, but the idea is many times when people talk Mera Bharat Mahan, that their idea is so that yes, I am Mahan, then great. So like that, we may want to glorify our spiritual master, so that we want to show that yes, because my spiritual master is so special, so I am also so special. If we that is our attitude, then we have got things wrong. If our spiritual master is so special, his spiritual master has got special mercy of Krishna, special mercy of Srila Prabhupada, of exalted Vaishnavas, then that special potency which the spiritual master has, and which will be a current of mercy and potency coming to us, that should be manifest in our transformed life, in our dedicated service to Krishna, in our steady devotion to Krishna, and that is what will attract people to Krishna. So we focus on that principle. We behave in such a proper way, sensitive, non-alienating, caring way, that we by our actions attract people to Krishna, and if those people feel inspired, they can be attracted to our spiritual master also. So otherwise, there can be terrible unnecessary conflicts between my guru is greater or your guru is greater, or this I preach to this person, so this person should become my guru's disciple. So one reason for this attitude is also that if that person is my guru's disciple, then that person will be under my control. Now we practice bhakti not to expand our controlling mentality, we practice bhakti to get rid of our controlling mentality. So this sort of possessive mentality will undermine our devotional spirit. So yes, if we have a natural desire to glorify our spiritual master, then we can have proper forums where we do that. There can be the Sangha of our God family, our God brothers, God sisters, with whom we can talk about the glories of our spiritual master. But within the broad devotee community, there we can focus on speaking about Krishna and doing what is best for attracting people to Krishna. And because Krishna's message has been widely broadcast within the Krishna consciousness movement by its founder Srila Prabhupada, so the focus is on introducing people to Prabhupada first, and then talking about our own spiritual masters thereafter, as is appropriate. Thank you. Hare Krishna.